Okay, so second grade, welcome back to your grade level link. And we're going to create a really cool quilt block or a quilt square, which is a piece of a quilt using a circle and a radial design. A radial design is a design that shoots out like a starburst. Now, I know you all know what a radial design is because we all have seen them in snowflakes. Snowflakes are radial designs because they are symmetrical, shooting out in 6 different directions. So, quilting uses all kinds of shapes, and I thought, let's take the snowflake idea and let's see if we can turn it into a really cool quilt square. So I have a black piece of paper, which is going to be what I'm going to call my backing paper. The backing paper is the surface that we're gluing the snowflake onto. And I have this really cool bright yellow, and I was sort of inspired by a bumblebee for this. But if you don't have yellow and black, you can use just plain black and white. You can use 2 totally different colors and see what you create. So let me pan you down to show you how to create a snowflake. A lot of kids still have trouble making one, so let me teach you. A snowflake starts with a circle. So I'm going to take a lid here that fits onto my piece of paper, and I'm just going to trace it. Now my lid happens to have a nice little handle like a cookie cutter, but just be careful when you trace. And I'm going to cut out my circle here. I see a lot of kids in school try to make a snowflake using a square, and it will create a design, but it's not rounded like a snowflake. That's the only thing. So trick number 1, always start with a circle. Okay? Now, after you cut out your circle, you are going to fold the circle 3 times. So watch. You have an apple pie. Now let's fold the apple pie in half to make a taco. Now let's fold the taco in half to create a slice of pizza. And let's fold it one more time to create an ice cream cone. So, if I open this up, I'm going to review that. So we have, let's reverse it. Ice cream cone, pizza pie, taco, apple pie. And by folding it 3 times, you are able to break up your circle into wedges. Do you see that? So let's review that. Apple pie, taco, pizza, and ice cream cone. Okay? Now, once you have your ice cream cone, you're ready to start cutting. Now, a lot of kids, I notice when they make snowflakes, they just start hacking into the little cone here. But take your time. The more interesting your shapes, the more interesting your snowflake. So notice when I do this, I like to cut skinny little shapes out. And sometimes I don't even like to cut the whole thing out. I just like to slice into it and create shapes like that. Now when that opens up, that'll look pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead, maybe do a little triangle here. Don't cut too deep because you have 3 sides you have to cut. So I'm gonna just maybe cut in like this on this one. Cut that out. And maybe I'll cut just the tip of it off there. I don't know how that's gonna look, but let's try it. Now I'm gonna turn it. And I'm gonna cut over here now. Cut some interesting shapes out. My paper is a little bit thicker than regular drawing paper, so it's a little bit harder to do. So I'm sticking to kind of triangles with this. I think for the top here, I'll cut this a nice little dip out. And maybe go in here and cut some zigzags. But the more interesting your shape, the better your design. Okay, so let's rewind. Let's see what it created. One more. Isn't that cool? So I created a radial design by just taking the time to fold the circle neatly. So now what I'm gonna do is, let me pan you down, clear off all my little scrappies here. I am going to glue my radial design onto the backing paper. So I need a glue stick. And if you're doing this with a regular white piece of paper, you need to make sure you're not gonna rip your snowflake or your radial design. So just be careful when you're gluing, but you wanna make sure you put glue on the back of the whole thing. Okay, now I'm using this purple glue, which will help you. Now when I glue this down, I'm gonna glue it sort of close to the corner so I don't have to cut away as much. And I was a little sloppy with the glue, but that should dry clear. And now what I wanna do is take my scissors and just neatly and carefully trim off the extra. And there, look at that. I have a really cool quilt square. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dissect this even further, so watch. I'm gonna cut this right down the middle. And I'm going to cut these in half. Because when you quilt, you want to use interesting shapes to make your quilt block. So there, do you see how I just cut that up into 4 squares? Now I have one that I did earlier, and this one I did with a black and a white piece of paper. So now I think what I can do is start incorporating these pieces together to see if I can make a really cool quilt design. So I need a new piece of backing paper because these are now squares. So let me move these out of the way. And this should be fun to see what I can create. So I'll put the yellow with the yellow and the white with the white. And, oh, this guy got away from me, right? Before I glue, I'm going to plan it out. So let's see, I think I'll start with that white one right there. And no 2 snowflakes are exactly the same. So it's gonna look a little different, and I think I'll put this one here and maybe another white one here. Now, I mean, look at how cool that looks already with just gluing some snowflakes down. Now, I don't know if I like this. I love that. So I have to play with my paper a bit. Let's see, did that change the design? That's awesome. I love it like that. So I'm gonna take my glue stick and I'm gonna put glue on the back of my squares. And this time I'm gonna just neatly glue them. Just like that. And I think I'm gonna use the pink paper when I trim this as like a nice pink edge. I like that. And I have one more, and that's gonna go like that. Ooh, I love that. look at that. Oh, so cool. Now what I'm gonna do, let me pan you up a little bit so you can see. I think I'll just trim this so I have a nice pink edge. That was a little sloppy, but I think for my first quilt block, this looks pretty good. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Now let me try it again. Let me take another piece. I think I have some orange here. This should be big enough. It's scrap, but it's good. And this time, let me try to piece it back together, combining the snowflake. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I like that. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try to make a new snowflake using the 4 pieces. And you know what? I'm gonna cheat here and glue it into the corner. That way I only have to cut the 2 sides when I'm done. Oops. Mr. Price is getting a little sloppy with his glue. Let me glue that on. See, totally different design. Wow, I love that. Look at that. So let me trim this. I like the orange border. How pretty is that? So let's go back and look right here. You know something, boys and girls? If I'm looking at this square, I think I want to turn this one right here. Let me try it. Uh-oh, I may not be able to do that. Let's see, can I take it off in time before it dries? I think so. Okay. Just in time. All right. So I think I want to glue that. Yeah. So you see how I'm editing my work? I'm changing it. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that much better. I didn't see it until I looked at it through the camera. So look at that. And I think these two would make a beautiful project side by side. So I'll take another piece of paper. What do I have laying back here? Let's see. I have this. This is a nice glue. Glue will look pretty with this. And I think I'll glue them side by side on my paper. Isn't that cool? So boys and girls, you can see that by learning how to make a radial design, sort of like a snowflake, you can create really cool quilt squares with very little effort. So give it a try. I'd love to see your project. You can email me at pricet@pearlriver.org. And if you master the project and you'd like to try another quilt block, you can click on another grade level to see what they're doing as well. Also, boys and girls, please make sure that you're filling out the Google Art form, which is located on the home page of my website. So have fun creating and exploring, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day. Bye.